West Virginia. For what purpose do you seek recognition?
Amendment at the desk, please.
The clerk will report the amendment.
Amendment to the committee print of H.R. 2430, offered by Mr. McKinley.
Gentleman's recognized for 5 minutes to speak on his amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The loss of hearing is a symptom of a problem. But stereotypically, society will say, get a hearing aid. That's the problem. That's get a hearing aid. But even the Hearing Loss Association of America says that there could be far more serious problems that we're, as Congressman Kennedy said, if left untreated, you got issues like malformation of the inner ear, fluid in the middle ear, allergies, the eustachian tube, perforated eardrum, benign tumors, impacted earwax, infection in the ear canal, foreign bodies, otosclerosis, items that only a specialist, or excuse me, someone trained in hearing loss may be able to detect. So the Hippocratic Oath says, do no harm. Do no harm. By putting in a hearing aid, you're ignoring all those issues that could lead to more profound loss. And I'm certainly one that is the example of that myself on that, because I wound up ignoring some of the symptoms, and I wound up losing my hearing entirely. I am profoundly deaf, and if it weren't for a cochlear implant, I couldn't hear a thing. I think that what we're trying to encourage by this legislation, by this amendment, is to encourage individuals with hearing aids or that have hearing impairments, check with a doctor or check with a specialist to find out what that is. Because even with a hearing aid, you can actually cause more damage to yourself by having overamplification on your inner ear, that you can cause damage to your eardrum. Let's be careful about this. So what we're trying to do in this legislation is to encourage people to, one, see a specialist to find out what's causing your hearing aid. Don't just do that stereotypical, just put a hearing aid in and turn it up. That doesn't address the real problem. That's an untreatment. Or the secondly is do a self-assessment. While we're sitting here, I did a self-assessment that was provided by the Better Hearing Institute. That's what we're talking about. Just do a self-assessment. That's the alternative as well. And the self-assessment for moderate loss, it says for a person with, if I'd had the losses I'm referring to, it says a hearing test is highly recommended. You're experiencing difficult hearing in important listening situations and may need hearing aids. That's all we're talking about with this amendment. Have someone else verify. Don't take the simplistic, stereotypical answer, just get a hearing aid. In so doing, you're ignoring a symptom, something else that may be more sinister lurking inside of your hearing. That's what happened to me. I'm deaf now. I ignored it. I shouldn't have done that. And it wasn't until I went to the Mayo Clinic when they said, we could have saved your hearing if you had just taken calcium gluconate and sodium fluoride. I didn't know that. I put a hearing aid in. Shame on me. This is my fault. I'm trying to prevent other people from losing their hearing as a result of this. Get your ears checked by a professional. That's what this legislation, this amendment is trying to do. I support the idea of the OTC. I think it's a great idea to be able to do that. But I think it ought to be coupled with getting your hearing checked. Find out why. Don't just say, put a hearing aid in, because you actually could be doing more damage to yourself by putting in something with a 70 decibel increase to someone that only has a 10 decibel loss. Just be careful about this. So we're looking for ways to get this encouragement. Find a way for the FDA to encourage people to get their ears checked. Find out what's causing the loss. Mr. Chairman.
Gentleman yield. I'd like to ask the gentleman, first of all, thank you for telling your story. I think it will help Americans figure out they have a real problem they should get more professional attention to. I'd like to ask the good gentleman